Hello guys, I am back. It has been so long and so much has happened, including the fact that I am now 1 year and closer to 2 months into living in Detroit. And that is insane to me because I remember when I first moved here and things were so different than they are right now. And I'm so immensely grateful for where I am in life and for the fact that I moved to the city. I was going to say, even though some of it has been a little traumatizing, but that's for later. I wanted to really take some time to talk through what it's like to move across the country when you don't have family, when you don't have like any support system, and how you could do it too if you so choose, right? So this series is really just called Unpacked Lessons. It's really just me yapping about all the things that I've experienced, but I really wanted to start with like letting things go, because when I moved to Detroit, I was in a really depressed state. Like I was not a happy person. I was not confident in myself. I was dealing with a whole lot of hurt from previous situations, friendship breakups, and also romantic relationships that I just had no business being in, right? And I was just not in a good place, but I wanted to try something new and I took a leap of faith. And I honestly believe that moving to Detroit was God ordained. Like it popped in my head out of nowhere and I have made a whole life here. And I want to talk about how letting go of whatever you thought your life was supposed to look like, whatever you thought you were supposed to bring with you to your new city, whatever your friends you think, like all of the things that you think, like really being able to be introspective and figure out like, is this really what I need to be doing in this moment? So let's start with the physical stuff. I was talking to a friend who is moving soon and I was like, girl, she was talking about leaving her stuff behind, which is basically what I did, right? I just moved with 2 suitcases and my body and kept it pushing. And I bought everything when I got here. And I understand there's some privilege in being able to do that, but sometimes you gotta check the rates because babes, you having to hire somebody and to pack and all these things, you haul it up, it might be cheaper for you to just get a new sofa and a new dresser and a new bed. I'm just saying a new pot set, you know? So just consider all of the steps and the ways that moving could be more sufficient for you, because literally clothes on my back, 2 suitcases full of clothes, now I have way too many things, right? Because I've built a whole life, but I also got the chance to really start over and have a fresh start, right? So that is my always my go-to for people who are moving. I'm like, girl, if you can get rid of stuff, donate. You never know who on your path actually needs it, especially if you live in college towns. It's easy to get rid of stuff. And then you get to upgrade yourself if you can afford to do so, right? But moving is expensive. So honestly, anybody moving got to have a little bit of something, padding something, or you moving on faith, and God bless you. And I mean that with like, for real. God bless those who move on faith and really, because I've seen so many videos of girls being like, I didn't have a job. I didn't have any in my bank account and God made a way for you. And that is, man, your obedience is amazing. And I feel like my journey definitely has a level of obedience to it too, because I wanted to move back to DC. I didn't want to be in Detroit. Detroit wasn't even on my mind. And I woke up one morning and Detroit was on my mind. And I decided, okay, cool, I'm going to move. And I literally already had a lease ready to sign in DC, looked for an apartment and got a new lease within hours in Detroit, signed the lease sight unseen, and moved within the month. So lots of crazy things happened and it was super fast for me. And you just never know. Like whenever God tells you to be obedient and be obedient quick. So letting go of things, right? The first thing, of course, is the physical stuff. It is really hard sometimes to let go of the physical things. You've had that couch for 3 years, so many great memories. But what about also the energy that couch holds? And this might sound a little crazy, but I do think like everything holds energy for you, right? Like the things in our home, that's why we always say well, I don't know if we always say, Caribbean people always say don't let everybody in your house, right? Because people bring energy with them. People, sometimes you love them and they just don't love you the same way. And that's okay. Except when it's in your house and now they've brought that type of energy to your home. So my friend who is now planning her move, I literally was like, she's thinking about getting rid of everything anyway. And I literally was like, yeah, because why would you want the couch that people have sat on and the whole time they were sitting on it, they was hating on you? Like they were jealous of you. They were, going through all this, why her and not me's, and you're just over here loving on them and caring about them. And now it's like you have the chance to start over. So why not just get something new and have a refreshed space? Because again, things hold energy. I have no scientific proof of things holding energy. I just know it does. But I have my own relational, personal experiences of things being like, yeah, this thing coming with me is binding me to the past and we got to let it on go. Okay. So physical things, definitely, like if you can release them, release them. It is okay to start over. It's okay to save up your money for new furniture, new things. It is okay to just have a fresh start. Even if it takes you a little while to get your house decorated, sometimes that's actually the best thing that you can do. The second thing is people. Sometimes some of the people that are in your life, they're in your life for a season. Everyone always says people are in your life for a reason, season, or a lifetime, right? And that is accurate. And I don't think that, uncomplicates things or, simplifies things too much. However, I also do think we have to be mindful of how we try to keep people in our life longer than their expiration, right? So it's hard to, like, when you just say reason, season, or a lifetime, it's like, well, how do I know? Like, how do I decide where people are categorized? Like, who's helping me make this decision? And what signs and signals and criteria do I even use to dictate that this person is for a lifetime versus this person is for a reason? And I don't have the answer to that. I just know from life experience that everything always shows up and shows out as far as like how things need to shake out when it comes to people in your life. There's something called discernment, and sometimes your discernment can be on and sometimes it can be off. And baby, mine has definitely been a mixture of on and off the whole time that I've been in Detroit. And now it's on, and it's on for life. I don't got time to play with the playground. But what I will say, when you're thinking about moving, right, and it's your time to pack them bags, do a life evaluation. Think of yourself as a company, and what are the people around you bringing to your company? Do you have a chief financial officer? That's the person that's like, oh girl, we don't got to go out today. We could go out next week when you get paid, because I'm already knowing how it is, or, you have the friend who's the stylist. Oh yeah, that's real cute on you. Yeah, actually, I don't really like that. The people that and that's simplifying it down to like the physical things. There's always the spiritual advisors, but everyone in your life needs to have a place. Just like they always say with finances, every dollar should have somewhere to go. Every person in your life should have a purpose. And the purpose could be as simple as, this is my person that I talk to Gilmore Girls about. Talk about Gilmore Girls with. Dang, I can't talk today. But like, everybody should have a place, right? So you don't want to have a life where people are just hanging around. You don't really know, like, you guys don't really have anything in common enough for you to be like, that person serves this purpose in my life, or I serve this purpose in that person's life. And that's something that I've been doing throughout my life recently after having some discernment, and I've gotten some people up out of here because they didn't serve a purpose, and they were also bringing me down and making me question who I was. So just things to consider on that one. Now, moving along to like the spiritual letting go, right? You got to let go of some of the mindsets and limiting beliefs. You cannot sit up here and want to move to a new city. And I'm talking to myself, because when I first moved here, I definitely was like, dang, what if I don't make any friends? This might be really hard. And I spent a lot of time on my Instagram talking about how hard it is to make friends, how hard it is to do this, how hard it is to do that. And I feel like I ended up attracting people who thought I was so desperate for their friendship or so desperate to be in company that they thought they could talk to me crazy and do anything crazy and I would be fine. And it's like, nah, baby girl, that's not the program. Like, we don't do that over here. Just because I was interested in making new friends doesn't mean that I was just going to stand for anything you was going to talk to me any kind of way, right? So you just have to be careful the energy you're putting out into the world, the mindset. Instead of saying like, oh, it's so hard to make friends as an adult, which the discourse around that is already so insane online, right? It's, you know what? God's going to send me the right friends. Like, it is so easy to make the proper right friends in the right time. Find ways to affirm yourself, to affirm what you actually want instead of speaking on the negatives of what you think is possible. It's really hard to reframe. And I have a friend who always reframes me. Hey, Diamond, like always with the reframe, right? And it's so important to have the people in your life who are like, that's cute. No. So you can start being that person too for yourself. So not saying like it's an easy process to get there, but it is an essential process to remember to reframe those negative thoughts, especially when you're moving to a new city and you're going to be alone for a little while as you build community. You do not want to attract negative and bad energy towards you because you keep speaking about how hard it is to experience good in a new city. So that is an essential thing that I learned when it comes to like spirituality and mindset. And then the last thing that I'll say before I let y'all go is, I don't know what your spiritual beliefs are, right? But my spiritual beliefs involve God and involve Jesus Christ as my savior. And fasting and prayer is so essential to finding out what your next steps are. Okay? And no, this is not a Christian content page. That's not even my type of lingo, right? However, it is so essential that God is at the center of everything that I do. And I am so blessed to be experiencing the life I'm experiencing, all because I was obedient, okay? All because I didn't question God when he said move to Detroit. I said, okay. And sometimes I even still say, like, God, I don't know why you got me up here, but I'm riding, I'm seeing what it is. And it is so essential to have something that grounds you, because if you lose sight of why you've moved somewhere, sometimes that loneliness creeps in and it really grips you. And then if you don't have a reason to be there, and you don't have something that's like your tunnel, your light at the end of the tunnel, which is what God was for me, seeing that, like, okay, God, I'm being obedient. This came into I know this was you. I know you sent me to Detroit. That is what saved me on the days when I was just extremely sad, on the days when I felt like I was never going to meet the right people, on the days when I was dealing with people's BS. I was like, you know what? God brought me here and it has to work out. Like, this has to be for a greater purpose. So whatever your grounding thing is, whether it's religious, whether it's not religious, whether it's, you're trying to get to this money, whatever it is, like, make sure that you keep that top of mind and don't let that go. Let go of the people, places, and things, but do not let go of the reason why you knew you needed to move and the reason why this move was so essential for your growth. And whether you're moving because of a job, whether you're moving because of a family situation, whether you're moving because you're like me and just needed to get up out of there before you lost your own day of mind, you have to have your foundation and make sure that you know why you're doing this. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let go of those people, places, or things and keep it pushing. Like, I am so excited to talk to you guys next time about just a little bit more, just a little razzle dazzle sprinkle. And I do want to share some of my own personal stories and things that I've experienced having moved to a new city, especially having moved to Detroit, and like all of the life lessons that I've learned. I've really learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about people. I've learned a lot about the world. I've learned a lot about synergy and bringing good energy to myself. I've learned a lot about my love for God and my obedience, and how obedience really and faith really just breeds wonders of like things to your life. God really wants to give us our heart's desires as long as it aligns with his. And I have stepped into such a season of abundance in my life because of that. And I am just super grateful, and I want to share this experience with you guys, and that's why we're here, right? So until next time, I definitely will have another video for y'all, and we'll talk about some more topics when it comes to moving. But you can do this. Do not give up hope. If you are so like, oh my gosh, it's time for me to get up out this city, it's time for me to get up out this state, this country, believe me, it is possible. You just have to make the right decisions, take it step by step. And I would even say, use our best friend ChatGPT to get yourself together. If you're really overwhelmed and overstimulated by a few things, that is also a really great way to like check in with yourself and also like put in together a full plan. That's my pro tip for the day. All right, y'all. I will see you guys next time.